Hello, I'm Diane Richard, your host. Stay tuned to the following presentation on the Veterans Channel.
Hello, my name is Patti Gerhauser. I'm the Women Veterans Program Coordinator at Veterans Leadership Program. Veterans Leadership Program serves veterans and their families in western and central Pennsylvania. We serve in 20 different counties, and our services include housing, employment, and wellness programs. And we serve nearly 4,000 veterans annually. To my left here is my coworker, Danielle Bush. You want to tell us a little bit about what you do at Veterans Leadership?
Hi, my name is Danielle Bush. I'm the Project Journey Program Coordinator, and I specifically work with women veterans in crisis, and it doesn't matter the type of discharge status, which branch they served in. I can assist them either financially with emergency assistance or housing. We have 4 units located in 3 different counties, and they are located in Greensburg, Turtle Creek, New Kensington, and East Liberty. But I specifically work with women veterans in crisis at Veterans Leadership Program alongside Patti.
Aryanna.
Hi, my name is Aryanna Hunter. I am the co-founder of What a Veteran Looks Like and founder of Me Too MST, where we tell the stories of veterans who may not be your typical story that you get to hear every day. So we really reimagine the story of veterans, particularly veterans that are minorities, so people of color, LGBTQ, and even those that have experienced military sexual trauma. So it's a new endeavor, and it's a pretty interesting campaign that we've started.
Yeah, so we're here today to talk a little bit about women's programming and services available to women veterans in the Pittsburgh region. And that's why I have my colleagues here with me today. Aryanna and I both co-facilitate or co-produce the podcast What a Veteran Looks Like, and as she said, that focuses on minority veteran populations and kind of works to reimagine the veterans community through the eyes and perspective of minority populations. With my program at Veterans Leadership Program, I head the Women Veterans programming. It includes social, supportive, and educational programming, and we serve veterans from all over the region, really, especially since the quarantine and COVID-19. We've had to shift our programming a little bit, and most of it is virtual now, which has been awesome. We do a virtual book club, coffee hours weekly, and we have a wide variety, all ages, eras, racially diverse group of women that come, and it's just a lot of fun.
Project Journey is a program that we have at Veterans Leadership Program. I'm the program coordinator. It's funded by United Way, and when we started this program, pretty much they gave us leeway with how we can support women veterans in crisis. The best part of my program is there's no stipulation as far as if they identify as a woman, we can help them. Regardless of their discharge status, we can help them. And regardless of their length of time in service, for whatever branch of service, we can help them. And it's one of a kind in this region to where the best part of working in the veterans community is working with other organizations, and with this program, there's no competition. So we get so much more done working together in this program and helping women, which is what it's all about. Like I said, we have transitional housing units. We have 4 of them where I can house homeless women vets and their families. And then the other portion is emergency assistance. So I can financially assist women through whatever they're going through, as long as we can justify it with the needs of their budget. I have helped with childcare. We have helped with bed bug fumigation, dental work, cribs, whatever you can think of. This program and this organization and United Way has done such a great job with finding a way to assist people without putting a lot of barriers to it. I don't follow the VA guideline. As long as they had one day wearing a uniform, I can help them. And that's a big deal for me as an Army Reservist, because a lot of times we don't qualify for a lot of programs that other veterans do. So I can do National Guard, Reserve, and prior service active duty. So as I was saying, discharge status. Previously, there was a lot of stimulation on women in the military. So being discharged for something that maybe you actually didn't do, or a barrier to maybe not receiving mental health for trauma that you experienced, you'll see that a lot of women have not general discharges or discharged under honorable conditions. There's, what are the other ones called?
Other than honorable.
Other than honorable for, who knows, alcohol use, drug use, reporting offenses by higher chain of command. And we are able to assist with anyone. I look at DD-214s to just prove eligibility of service. I don't even look at why they were discharged unless they want to talk about it.
So within our Women Veterans program, we do social, supportive, and educational programming, which includes a wide variety of things. We've done documentary screenings and panel events. We do a monthly luncheon event where we have someone come in and do kind of a lunch and learn with our group of women veterans on a variety of topics that they choose. We started this year, we're doing a pilot program for a wellness retreat and leadership development project with a group of 12 women veterans from 4 different counties in southwest Pennsylvania. In partnership for that specific pilot, we're partnering with Adagio Health and the White Oak Vet Center, as well as Melwood Veterans Services, which hosts the retreat in southern Maryland. So that's a pretty awesome program that I'm really excited about. And kind of the leadership development project portion of that is a year-long initiative to help women veterans who are participating in this program give back to the women veterans community and kind of establish them as leaders within the women's veterans community so that we can, have that representation within our community here in the city of Pittsburgh, as well as just to expand our programming and expand our reach and expand our successes with this population. Beyond that, we do some fun events too. We had one of our most popular events we did last year was a range day. We partnered with the Clarendon Sportsman's Club, and we had a group of certified range safety officers that came out to the range for us, and we shot a bunch of different guns all day, and then we had a cool shooting competition at the end and handed out a trophy. It was a lot of fun. But really it's just all about creating a supportive community environment, connecting women veterans to resources, making them aware of resources. A lot of times the women I work with aren't even aware of what's available to them. And then also just encouraging them in their journey post-military, whatever that entails.
As I previously said, Project Journey is broken into 2 portions. So there is the emergency housing and the financial assistance. For emergency housing, they could be fleeing domestic violence, they could be street homeless, they could be couch surfing, whatever qualifies the need for them to have shelter or a house over their head, we're able to provide that. We currently have 4 units, and they're in Westmoreland and Allegheny County, but we also serve Fayette as well. So right now, we have 4 transitional housing units. One is in Allegheny, East Liberty, the other one is in Turtle Creek, and then we have 2 in Westmoreland, which is New Kensington and Greensburg. I only house 1 family at a time. So if it's a woman veteran and her kids, a woman veteran and her husband, just her and her family are who occupy that unit. They don't share it with anyone else. We pay the rent, we pay the utilities, we take care of any maintenance issues, and the leases are in Veterans Leadership Program's name. So the whole time they're in my program, it's just to ensure that they're stable, they have a place to distress, and also primarily work to their goal, which is finding stable housing for them and their families. We will go over a budget, and as long as there is a need for that assistance, we can provide that for them, which within a reasonable amount. And if it is one of those extraordinary circumstances, we can refer out to other programs at VLP for that additional emergency assistance. So when the women are referred to my program, there is, more of that case management for the women that are living in my houses, compared to the emergency assistance is more of a quick turnaround. So the case management I provide for the women that are in Project Journey is we go over an ISP, so an individual service plan. What are the goals that you have that we can work together on to ensure that they will be stably housed? As far as we go over, can they afford food? If they can't, let's get you enrolled in SNAP or TANF or whatever county programs there are to assist that. Can they afford housing? If they can't, let's figure out, are you able to work? Yes or no. If you are, we can refer you to employment services. If you're unable to work, are you on disability? Is it service connected? Are those routes that we need to take as well? As far as housing vouchers, are you able to afford this on your own? If you cannot work and you don't have disability, then applying for housing vouchers, whether that's through the VA, the county, or the city of Pittsburgh. The big portion is, people don't wake up one day and want to be homeless. There's many factors or barriers that kind of got them in this situation to where they aren't able to provide for themselves or their families. The individual service plan is able to break that down and try to remove those barriers and figure out how we can take them from not having shelter for them and their family to then getting them stably housed and, back on their feet again. That's the whole point of it. Vets helping vets, people helping people. So case management is very important. Just feeling like someone is on your team that can help you and making sure that their voice is heard more than mine. Their goals are way more important than mine for them, and making sure that they just have that support to navigate all of the wonderful programs, whether it's veteran assistant or county or city assistant. Veterans Leadership Program serves women veterans in two separate programs. You have Project Journey, and then you also have the Women Veteran Program as well. The really great thing that this program is backed by is the funding from United Way.
And what I really love about our programming and our capabilities through this funding stream is that we can serve virtually any woman veteran, really any veteran who identifies as a woman. We have a lot of transgender women clients who have come through our housing emergency assistance and through my Women Veterans Program initiatives as well. And it's really awesome because within the veteran space, kind of what you see at each individual organization and then within the VA system as well is that everyone defines a veteran a little bit differently and what qualifies an individual as a veteran who's eligible for whatever services they have to offer. And so a lot of times what you'll see at the VA is that someone has to have served a certain amount of time on active duty. And so that makes a lot of reservists or guard members ineligible for those services because they didn't have enough active duty time. It also prohibits anyone with dishonorable or other than honorable discharge from receiving services within certain organizations and at the VA. So for our program to not have those barriers for veterans who are seeking assistance, it's really a huge benefit to this area. And I can't say that enough, how many clients we have come through who just really have nowhere else to turn because they don't meet the stringent requirements of other organizations. And a lot of times, particularly when you're looking at the women veteran population, they're what they call a bad paper discharge or an other than honorable discharge. Really, when you get into the nuts and bolts of what happened with that, it's not their fault. There are a lot of institutional, cultural things within the military that are problematic. When you look at cases of MST or sexual assault in the military, a lot of times that will lead to a discharge for the victim. In our case, with our clients, for the woman who really didn't do anything wrong, was not the perpetrator, but because the military governs itself under its own law, justice system, it's really left up to the discretion of the commander of whatever unit you're at. And so when you're looking at that and you're seeing people who, had this horrific experience, got processed out of the military, got a bad paper discharge, and they come to your door homeless or in need of some sort of assistance, and a lot of times there's mental health things that go along with that because of the trauma they've experienced. It's just really awesome for us to be able to assist them and not have to turn them away. And it makes me feel really good at the end of the day to know that, I was able to help them when no one else could.
I love that we're also changing the dialogue of how we ask the question, because I know a lot of the times that you talk about, it's hard for women to identify as a veteran. And like your shirt says, or your program, like, what does a veteran look like? And I really like how you've gone out to ensure, like, have you served in the military, rather than saying, are you a veteran? And I think that's been really big for women identifying.
Yeah,
as well.
That's a key thing, I think, especially with women veterans, is there's research even into this particular facet of women veterans where a lot of women veterans, when you ask the question phrased as, are you a veteran, they will say no. But if you reframe the question and ask it and say, did you serve in the military, the same person will say yes. They just don't identify with the label veteran. And that's a problem in this community, and it's a very complex problem. I could talk to 5 different women who feel the same way, and they'd all have a different reasoning for that. A lot of it has to do with their military experience. Some women don't feel like they can claim the title of veteran because they didn't deploy or they didn't serve in a combat role. Some women had a horrible traumatic experience in the military and they just don't want to be associated with that at all. There's a lot of different scenarios that we see, but again, at the end of the day, we're able to take these women in, help them out through Project Journey with housing, help them out with some of our workforce programs to get into a job that will help them to be able to find that stable place for their family once they're done with our transitional housing. And then our programs work in coordination with each other really well too, where as the women are coming in, I'm there, and my main goal within my programming is just to encourage these women, to make them feel empowered, to remind them what a badass they are. Like, you served in the military, like, you did some really cool shit, and I can tell that you've been beaten down and you're like struggling right now, but let me remind you of like who you are and what you're capable of, and let's go do this, and just being that support system for them really just makes all the difference in the world.
Hi, my name's Aryanna Hunter. I am the co-founder of What a Veteran Looks Like and founder of Me Too MST. Me Too MST is a upcoming campaign that highlights those that have survived military sexual trauma. We not only have the opportunity for those veterans, men and women alike, to share their stories in an online platform. That's everything from a piece of artwork or poetry, or even the ability for them to write their story or tell their story on their cell phone and then upload it to the website. Of those, we will actually be launching a podcast in the fall and really doing a deep dive with a mental health professional to talk about that experience, because nothing will change within the military unless we start telling the real story. And so this is an opportunity for us to finally normalize what happens to us and talk about ending that stigma, and for people to stop being afraid about sharing their truth. And so we're very excited to talk about all of these experiences for men and women alike. Though unfortunately we have more women who have suffered from military sexual trauma than men, but I think it's really important to highlight that it does happen to both. And that's also part of what our podcast, What a Veteran Looks Like, and the organization as a whole, is really to highlight those stories of women and how they served and what that experience was like for them, both positive and negative, or people of color, or LGBTQ identifying individuals. I really think it's important to highlight those minority veterans and share their stories, because often they're not the first ones we go to, and their stories don't get shared. And so that's the work that we're doing, and putting those stories out there for the world to hear, because hopefully it starts to change hearts and minds.
If you don't talk about your experiences, the good, bad, and the ugly, how can we expect anything to change? And I think we can all agree from our experiences as women in the military that they very much need a cultural shift. There needs to be change implemented in the military so that these types of traumatic experiences don't continue to happen to young women who sign up to serve their country. I mean, this is not what we signed up for.
Right.
We signed up to go and defend the values of this nation, and to put someone who is acting in a selfless way into a situation where they're not being protected, they're being preyed upon, and the culture is allowing this to happen is incredibly problematic. I always kind of look at it like, so I have a daughter who's almost 9, and I always think to myself, you know, if in 9 years, when she's an adult, if she decides to join the military, I'd like to think that she would walk into an organization that is vastly different than the one that I served in. I would like to see, you know, it be a safe and welcoming space for women and people of color and LGBTQ veterans and all of the above, so that, you know, they have the opportunity to fulfill what it is that they set out to do in the military, and not have their careers cut short, and not have to suffer in a way that's completely preventable.
Right. And I think it's building that community, and I think that's what's so important, is building a space so that people know that they're not alone, but then also building a narrative and a story that reclaims their service.
Absolutely. And you know, we talked about how a lot of women don't identify as veterans. They don't lay claim to that title. And I think a lot of that comes down to their experiences in the military, you know, and I want them to be represented in this space. I want them to feel pride in their service. It's really hard to feel pride in your service if the duty station or the command or the ship that you showed up to every day was not supportive of you, tore you down, was, you know, denigrated women, or, you know, just treated you in an abusive manner, which is what happens in a lot of command situations. And so just highlighting those stories, raising awareness. A lot of people outside of the military community are completely unaware that military sexual assault, military sexual trauma are such a large issue, and just continues to grow, even though certain practices and different legislative things have been implemented even over the last few years. The numbers that came out again this year from a 2018 study, I believe, the numbers continue to grow. It's a problem. It needs to be addressed. And so anything I can do to highlight that issue, to make these women feel heard, to share their stories, that's what we're working towards.
Yeah. So for those who have experienced military sexual trauma, especially here in Western Pennsylvania, there are a number of resources readily available for us. So the first two that I'd like to highlight are our vet centers. We've got one both in White Oak and one in Green Tree. Both centers are free to you if you've experienced military sexual trauma, and I highly suggest you reach out to them. They are well trained. Honestly, I go to the one in White Oak, and I get some of the best counseling services that I've ever received in my lifetime there. But outside of, and the really great thing about the vet centers, I will say, is that they are separate from the VA. The records are kept separately, so if you feel unsure about going there because they are associated with the VA, those records are completely separate, so they're not going to be shared. And so I think that's also a really important component to think about when you decide to get help. But there are other non-military, non-VA related service providers in the area, whether that's PAR or PERSAD. The Blackburn Center in Westmoreland County is also very helpful. So if you even go to me2mst.com, we do have a list of resources available to you and the phone numbers for them to reach out to if you do need additional support.
So for any women veteran or any person that identifies as a woman veteran that would need assistance, feel free. Our office is located in the Strip District, right on Smallman Street. You can come walk in if you need assistance. Our phone number is 412-481-8200, and you can call and we can do intakes right over the phone. Someone will find you assistance or refer you to Patti and I if you would like to get a hold of us. Or you can go on our website. It's www.VLPWPA, and that's Veterans Leadership Program of Western Pennsylvania.org. www.VLPWPA.org. And that is actually the quickest way just to get a hold of us. If you fill out an intake form for assistance online, if you call in, or you just come to our building post-COVID, we will be back open.
Thank you all for joining us today. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about the services and resources available to women veterans in our region. If you'd like to reach out to any of us, again, the contact information that Danielle just shared, you can get our email via that phone number as well, or our website. We also have a Facebook account. If you search on Facebook for Veterans Leadership Program, and within that social media account, specifically on Facebook, we have several subgroups, one including a Women Veterans Facebook group. We have almost 400 members in that group, and we're very active. It's just a nice place to keep track of what's happening in the region, what's available to women veterans, and just build support and community online. And we'd love to have you. We'd love for you to refer any clients that you might be working with who could use our resources. And thank you again.